Hello, 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 everybody. This is your faithful friend Sandra Graves, and welcome to the Code. Today we are going to be talking about how to love, and you might be thinking, how to love? I know how to love. Well, guess what? We can always learn something new from experts. And when I'm talking about expert people that are actually living it, doing it, experiencing love. Okay, a lot of those people out there that telling you how to love, and when they go home they have nothing. Okay, nothing. They just have a lot of emptiness. But this man has been married for a long time. Okay, and his name is Dr. Larry Fedewa, and he is also an author, a poet, and a political commentator. Apart from he have a very nice voice, like the very white kind of a looking voice, like whatever, He have really sexy voice, and I know that his wife knows that. She knows that he have a sexy voice. That's why she married you. That's why she married you. Now, anyway, so today we're going to be talking about how to be loved. And if you like what you are hearing, please visit him at his Twitter at Lawrence Fedewa. That it will be at his Twitter. And also, so right now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to shut up. You know that is very difficult for me. So I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to allow Dr. Larry to be able to tell us a little bit more about himself before we start this conversation. So, Larry, it is all yours.
Well, you're right. I have been married for a long time. In fact, I can barely remember before I got married. I've had a lot of careers. I was an international technology executive for Control Data. I was a college president. In fact, I started a college one time. I started a school in the Philippines, and then I ran a federal contracting business for a long time. You were speaking about being a model. I did a little of that when I was young in Paris, and so I've had a pretty exciting life in a lot of ways. I didn't know it was so exciting until I looked back at it.
Did you do radio because of that sexy voice that you have? Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Laurie. Whatever.
Yes, I do a lot of radio and television. I'm mainly known as a political commentator, but I also have a private life, and the private life involves love.
Amen.
So I think that I've got 3 rules of love. In order to be loved, first you have to love others. And secondly, to be loved, you have to show your love. And third, love requires sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my 3 rules. And I can then you say, well, what is love? And my answer to that is a story about my 12-year-old son. Was after church one day, we were at McDonald's, and my wife and he and I were talking to this very pious lady. I don't know exactly how we ended up with her, but there we were, and he was eating as only a 12-year-old boy can eat, very fast and very hard, and she was talking about love and loving God and loving your neighbor. Finally, she looked at him all of a sudden, and she said, "John, what is love?" And he goes, "Love is extreme like." So we've always said, well, what is love? Love is extreme like. So anyway, basically, my first rule: if there is love in your heart, you will not recognize it. You will not. If there's not love in your heart, you will not recognize it in others. So you have to love others in order to recognize the fact that you are being loved.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't love others, you really won't know what other people might feel for you. So that's the first that's the first thing. So even if you are loved, you will not recognize it. And for you, love will not exist because you won't know what love is. You have to love other people in order to be loved yourself. And then the second thing is you have to show your love, and there are many ways to do that. Love involves trust, emotional support. If you love somebody, you really have to give
Larry,
them.
your camera is zooming in like to your mouth.
Well, I'll back up.
Yeah.
I'm not
So,
doing it. I'm not doing anything.
okay, your camera is automatically just zooming
Yeah,
you in every time you say something. It just totally, you said something about love and it's zooming right up to your mouth. It's like, okay.
I'll kiss next time.
Go ahead.
Well, so I think emotional support is extremely important when it comes to love because that means that you really have to, when somebody else is having trouble or they're having joy, they're laughing or they're sad, you have to share that with them. If you can't get your mind into their emotions, then it's really questionable whether you really do love them. And they want to do that for you too. When you feel free, when you feel joyful, or when you feel sad, they want to be able to enjoy that with you, or at least share that with you. And if you don't do that, then you don't know love.
Now, what
And
about those women that they believe that they are with this man that loved them, but he said he have never told me that he loved me, but I know that he loved me.
well, there are a lot of ways to show love. Emotional support is certainly one of them. Encouragement. Does he encourage you to do what you want to do or what you think you can do? Is he patient? Is he patient with you? If you make a mistake, or if you get mad, or if you uh, get do something wrong, is he patient? Does he
Mhm.
say, you know, let's think this through, or let's go on and try to do something else?
Yeah.
Does and is your belief in people will be tested.
Mhm.
You have, when these situations occur, then that's a test. That's a test of whether you really are loved. If I'm really down and someone comes and tries to help me see the brighter side of life, that's a form of love. And it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be a woman. It could be a man. It could be my brother. It could be my father, or it mainly could be my mother or my wife or even my daughter.
Yeah,
So it's not only love is not just between people of the opposite sex.
that's right.
It's also something that we can all share with each other.
But I get these messages from people all the time, and they say, "Nobody loves me. I don't feel love." What do you say to those people that they feel that they have nobody that is loving them?
I would ask them, whom do you love? Do you love anybody? Have you ever experienced
Mm,
the have you ever encouraged someone else? Have you ever praised someone else? Have you ever shown someone else that you really care? Have you given them a present? Or have you
mm.
tried to cheer them up? Or have you cried with them? If you don't do anything like that, then you don't love anybody else.
That's
And if
right.
you if you don't love anybody else, you can't people aren't going to love you either.
That's right. I like that you presented that because a lot of these people they are really complaining about they're not being loved, and that's the thing is that some people are just sitting around waiting for something to happen instead of doing something about it. And I like that you said that, reminding them, you get what you give, and if you're not giving, you ain't getting.
That's right. Very true. Very true. So, and then of course love does require sacrifice. You have to sacrifice, sometimes you have to sacrifice your own attention. Sometimes somebody else, like when I walk into a room with my wife, I don't get much attention. She gets all the attention. So, so if I'm egotistical and I don't appreciate that, I could get jealous,
Yeah,
and that's not love.
yeah,
That's when men especially
yeah.
uh, pay attention to my wife. I'm glad for her. I think that shows that she's got something that I recognize, and now these other guys recognize it too.
That's right.
So, but it doesn't have to be that. It's attention, or it could be sorrow, it could be joy. When somebody's really happy, don't be a wet blanket. Join them. Find out. Tell a few jokes, or listen. If they tell jokes, at least laugh at their jokes.
Yeah, and you got these people that they said, I'm struggling because my wife is giving too much attention to the kids. I feel my wife don't love me. What do you say to that?
Well, I say that that's stupid because
No, it's just simple. That's it. Okay, the show is over. He already answered your question. I'm joking. Go ahead. Yeah, I agree with you. That's plain stupid. But so, in other words, as a man, what would you tell these other guys if you hear him saying something stupid like that?
I would say that if you can't join your wife in appreciating your own children that came from you, then you better re-examine yourself, because you've got your values are mixed up. And
Hmm.
the other thing is, if she is paying a lot of attention to the children, and then she sees you paying attention to the children also, she's going to appreciate that.
That's
And
right.
that's means she's going to notice you again, and then she's going to say, well, what are we going to do when the kids go to bed?
Yeah,
You'll have a good answer.
yeah. But the one thing that there was that person that we were talking about, one thing that he continued to have problem with his wife because his wife is trying to protect the kids from him because he's very dry and he's not showing them love. So she's trying to do that balance
Right.
of trying to compensate for what he lacks. And he's having a problem because he's like, she's not giving me love. But just like what you said, if he was focused on giving, she wouldn't have to spend that much time with them in giving them because it would be both of them giving them love versus one person. So I like that you presented that.
Plus, it would be good for the children,
Yep,
because the children need a father,
yep,
and the boys particular. Well, the girls are going to be looking for the first 12 years of their lives. Their idea of a man is the man that their father.
yep,
Now they'll start to diversify their ideas a little bit after that, but you don't want to give them a view of a man who's taciturn and silent and hostile and scary. You want to give them a idea of a man, looking for a man who's kind and
hmm,
patient and trying to help people and help them. That's that that's the sort of man that. And if it's a girl, then that girl is looking for the man she's going to be looking for most of her life, probably,
yeah,
is either going to be exactly like her father or the
hmm,
opposite of her father.
yeah,
If her father, she's afraid of her father, and she doesn't love her father, then she's going to think all men are very. She's going to be suspicious of all men,
yeah,
and then she's going to go and the psychologist will tell us that she will start going and looking for love in the wrong places.
yeah, yeah.
So
And with that said, we're gonna take a commercial break, and I want to continue. That's why I left you with that pause because I want you to listen to what Dr. Larry Fedewa is saying about love. And we are talking about someone that is living it, not just telling you a book that he read. He is actually living it, he's giving it, and he's sharing with us how to love. So we will be right back. Thank you, my friend, for watching the code. That we are here every 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are
bringing you coaches and speakers and classes and experts in different areas to help you grow. That's what we are here for. Any comments, questions, or if you are a sir, please send us an email to info@envivoassociate.com. Again, info@envivoassociate.com with your host, Sandra Graves, every Thursday at 7 Central Standard Time. Thank you for watching The Code.
I gotta love, 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 love in my heart. Oh, when a man loves a woman, ay, ay, ay. I love all those songs, but you know what? In order for you to be able to feel all that love, like Dr. Larry said, you have to be willing to give love. A lot of people always telling me, oh, I don't feel love like you do. You always talking about all these love stories and this love, and you love this one, and you love people and whatever. Because when we are thankful for the things that we have, we are appreciative of everything that we have around us, we realize that there is a lot of things to love instead of hate. Of course, nothing in life is going to be perfect, but if you focus on the things that you're thankful for, like your family members and your friends and all these things that you have, you are going to fall in love with that, because when life is challenging and it just slap you in the face, guess what? The people that love you are going to be there. And if you feel that you don't have anybody that loves you, just like Dr. Larry said, perhaps you are not loving anybody. And you got to fix that. So let's get back to the conversation. It's about how to love. But I want to remind you that if you want to connect with Dr. Larry Fedewa, all you have to do is go to his Twitter, and there is Lawrence Fedewa. Twitter, Lawrence Fedewa, and there you will be able to follow him. So, Dr. Larry, this is all yours. How to love. What else can you tell us about that? So we were talking about the sacrifice and all of that thing, but let's get down a little bit more into, okay, right now we have all these young people. They are trying to to find love, right? And we know that they are actually looking for love in the wrong places, because they think that love is sex. Like I used to think that love was sex. I used to think that love was money. I used to think that love was traveling. I used to think that love was all the wrong things, because I did not have a dad that was loving. He was more of a dad that was all about finding women out there, and I did not get that kind of attention. And I see a lot of the young people experiencing this thing. So how can they be able to give love when they are having a hard time feeling love themselves?
Well, I think why don't we define love? Love is the ability to put another person's benefit ahead of your own.
Mm-hmm.
And this means you're prepared to sacrifice your own desires, comfort, happiness, even your prosperity for another person or group of persons, such as your family, your church, or your country. And unless you can put you just have to realize that you are not the only person in the universe, and that that there are other people and other groups that need you, and you need them. And you have to be able to say, I'm willing to do something to prove that I love someone or some cause. Do I love my country? Am I willing to desire to get some sort of commitment to either to a political party or to a military life, or at least to vote? That's one way. That's one thing you can do to show love. But if you do that, then you and your church, you can get very active in your church. If you do that, you're going to find other people who have the same kind of commitment, and
Mm-hmm.
those are very likely people for you to begin to love. And if you love them, they're going to love you.
I like what you said about the commitment. A lot of the people right now that are looking for love, they're not committed to anything, not even to themselves. That's the reason why they have a hard time. even experiencing love because they're not committed to anything. They just, if something don't work out, they drop it, like if it's hot potato. But one thing that I learned is, when I first married this is my second husband actually. When I married him, I was like, if it doesn't work, we divorce. He says, if it doesn't work, we work at it, we talk about it. The most important thing is that we respect each other, but if it doesn't work, we work it out. And I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. In my family, I don't know that anybody have been doing that. He's like, no, we talk about it, we work it out. You just don't walk away from things. And that was a new concept for me because I come from a divorced mom. She was a single mom almost all her life. And meeting my husband, it was just like that was a new concept. But I can tell you, it was one of the best things that I have experienced. I learned how to actually give more because I saw how my husband is able to give. He don't tell me do this, do that. He show me by example, and then I'm just like, wow, I want to do more. I want to do more for him because it's just the way that he loves that make me want to love more, and that has been a blessing from God. So yes, I am learning because I'm willing to make a commitment to what I have.
And that starts with realizing that you're not the first or only most important person in the universe. If you think that everything that you see or hear or do is supposed to make you happy and
Yes.
make you give you joy and pleasure, and you don't care about anybody else, you only
Yes.
care about yourself,
That's right.
then you're not a good candidate to be loved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's exactly who I was. That's why I had a divorce because it was all about me. Me, one,
Yeah.
me, two, me, three, more, four, me, 10, me, 20, me, 100. It was all about me. And anytime things did not work out my way, it was the highway for whatever person. But
Uh,
with the one that I have now, I learned that it is not like that. There is, like you said, there's sacrifice that needed to be made. There's commitment that needed to be made. And sometimes I got to step back and let him be in front of me instead of me always being in front. And that's why I love this conversation with you today because you're telling the truth. So bring it on. Keep coming. Bring it on. I love it. Come on. Come on. Seriously, I
well,
love it. So, what else can you tell us about how to be loved for all of us inexperienced love people in the world?
I think that one of the very important love relationships in many of our lives is our love of our children, because I felt I had the experience of being a camp counselor during college, and I had a chance to see all kinds of kids, and you could tell a lot about the parents by knowing the kids.
Mhm.
And I
Yes.
discovered one thing, and that is that, well, what I did was, I always listened to them, no matter how, even when before they could really talk. I tried to make out what they were saying, and I paid very close attention to what they were trying to say, and it worked so well, because if you don't get them comfortable with talking to you, by the time they're about 14 or 15 years old, there's nothing you really can do to stop them doing whatever they want unless
That's
it's
right.
put them in jail.
That's right.
So you've got to train them when they're very young, that show them that you're interested in what they have to say, and then they'll be interested in what you have to say.
Hmm.
And the fact is that this has been true. My children are long grown up, and they still talk to them practically every day, even though whether I want to or not. And so I really believe that that is a very important way to show children that you love them, by listening to them,
That's right.
and talk. And they'll talk. They'll When they're young, they'll talk just to hear that, just because they need to talk. So if you can keep them listening, talking to you all through their adolescence and through their college years, then you've done a great job as a parent. But
Amen.
there's so many people that guy comes home from work and he sits down and all he wants to do is read the paper or watch television. He doesn't want to listen to any little kid go jabbering around.
Yeah,
Get on him, mom, take him away, just put him to bed or whatever. That's not the way to go.
that's right. Oh, that was just a good example that you gave there, because I see it all the time. And yeah, I see in some kids that really, like, you cannot have a conversation with them. They're very disrespectful to their parents and all that. But if you look at the parents are disrespectful to each other. So the kids are just patterning exactly what they see. And then I know this lady in particular, she says, "Oh, I know he don't love me. He love his dad more." But if you keep saying that in front of your kid, of course he's gonna feel that way, So yeah, I love that example that you give. So if you are listening and you are having some challenges with love, please, perhaps maybe you should pick up Dr. Larry's book. He actually have a book on love. What is the title of your book?
Inside the early years,
Inside. And where can we find that book?
Amazon.
Amazon. So look for Inside by Dr. Larry Fedewa. Fedewa. I keep trying to say Fedewa, but it's Fedewa. And so that you can learn more. But actually, I can tell you by just listening to him today, there was a lot of wisdom. It's like you actually picking up a book of Proverbs and opening in sections, and you got this wise guy talking to you. That is Dr. Larry right now. I actually love the things that you shared. You share it with boldness, but that boldness came through with love. And that's what I love about your message today. So I really appreciate it. So before we end this, there is any last words that you would like to share with us about how to love before we end this program?
The secret to being loved is to love. And that is a gift from God. And if you're a parent, you have to realize that you are a channel of God, because you're the one that is going to teach your children how to love and how to be loved. If you don't do that, then the whole next generation is going to go on without love. And if you don't have love, you're going to have hate.
That's right. Well, I better stop this video because you're going to make me cry. I'm getting emotional right now. So I know I'm very silly and all that, but when it comes to this love stuff, I just get really emotional about it. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. If you have any questions, post your questions right here, and we will see you soon. Thank you, Dr. Larry, for being with us today.
You're very welcome.